be interesting to see how this goes. I'm a little nervous. Why am I nervous? I don't know. Anyway. Hey, it's Jay. Welcome back. Holy cow, that sounds cutesy. Let's try that again. Hey, welcome back. So today I have a book review for you. I was so excited when I finished it that I had to just pull out my camera and let you guys know how I feel about it. So today we are talking about Warbreaker by Brandon Sanderson. If anybody follows me on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram, you've seen that I've been really thoroughly enjoying this book. I finished it this morning, and so I just really want to talk about it. I know there's lots of people who have read this, so I hope we can all kind of geek out together over it. So, for those of you who don't know anything about this book is I'm going to read the back for you. That'll be easiest. Tutelier, capital of Hallandren, is a colorful city by the sea where gaily dressed crowds bustle through sunny streets and worship heroes who have been reborn as gods. Ruled by the silent, mysterious God King, the pantheon is nourished by offerings of breath, the life force that keeps them alive and youthful. Exiled in Idris, the former royal family reluctantly betrothed a princess to the God King. Arriving in Tutelier, she finds both the city and the marriage are not at all what she expected. Her only ally is Lightsong, a god who is skeptical of his own divinity, who fears that war with Idris is inevitable. Meanwhile, another new arrival in Tutelier, one who bears the sentient sword Nightblood, makes cunning plans based on the unique magic of Hallandren, which uses color to focus the power of breath. Plans that could change the world. So this was originally written as a standalone. We've recently found out that Brandon is actually going to continue, and I am super excited. Not that the book didn't have closure, because it did, but it's one of those things where you become so attached to these characters along your journey that you want to keep reading about them. You want to follow what happens after the book ends. Like, you just want to know more. And so I was really excited when I found out this is no longer going to be a standalone. So a little bit about this. It basically follows four main characters. One is named Vasher. He's the first one you meet. And then Lightsong, which is the god that they mention. Ciri is the princess who marries the God King from Idris, and her older sister Vivina, who was originally betrothed to the God King, but at the last minute, her father, the king of Idris, decided to send Ciri, the youngest of his daughters, the most rebellious of his daughters, to the God King as his bride, because he loved Vivina and he didn't want her to leave. He felt the kingdom would be better off to have her there. Anyways, so it follows these four along their various journeys. What ends up happening is, Ciri marries the God King, and that whole storyline I absolutely adored. The way their relationship grows and develops over time is truly beautiful. I'm not going to give away any spoilers, but the God King is not who you think he is. That's all I'm going to say. Vivina goes on a journey of, in essence, losing herself, hitting rock bottom, and finding out what makes her happy, not what makes everybody else happy. Vasher keeps you guessing right till the very end, and I really enjoyed how that storyline went along. Nightblood is his sword. I can't tell you too much about the sword other than it talks. But you find that out in the first chapter, so that's not really a spoiler. So the sword talks. I'm not going to tell you why, because that is a major spoiler. And then Lightsong. Lightsong is a god who becomes lazy. At least that's what you think of him. He doesn't understand how he's a god, why he's a god. He is Lightsong the Brave, or Lightsong the Strong. I forget which. I think it's Lightsong the Brave. Because he died in a brave and valiant way. So basically what happens is the gods are what they call returned. So they've passed away and they've been bestowed by this unseen god called Astra. And an amount of breath to come back and take care of some things and save somebody else. So it's really interesting the way that whole works out. Like, the whole magic system is amazing. The whole religious thing is really amazing to me. There are several different religions throughout the book, and how he addresses each one and their different separate belief systems and what kind of washes over all of them is really intriguing. Like, I would read a couple chapters and then I'd put it down to process what happened, and then it's like, I want to know more. So I'd pick it back up and read a couple more. Set it down, process, pick it up, read a couple more, process, you know, that whole cycle. That's kind of what I did through the whole book. I've basically been reading this for a week. I didn't want to rush it because, you know, once you read a book, you don't really get to reread it again. But I thoroughly enjoyed the journey that is Warbreaker. I highly recommend it. I give it 5 out of 5 stars. Like, I thoroughly enjoyed this book. If you have not read it, you have to go and pick it up at your library or at the bookstore. It will stay on my bookshelves because I'm sure there will be points in my life where I want to reread it or I want to share it with somebody else. So my general thoughts are, I love it. You should read it. There was one little point kind of 3/4 of the way through where it started to lag a little bit for me. Just through one of the storylines. Vivina, the oldest sister, her storyline lagged a little bit for me through that point, but you kind of had to see her there to understand where she gets in the end, so I understand why it was there. I just felt like it could have, rather than being broken up into several smaller chapters, I think it could have all been addressed in one. So that's kind of my thoughts on that. But outside of that, I really liked it. This was my first Brandon Sanderson book, for those of you who don't know, and I will definitely be reading his works again. It was very well written, very clear, very concise. He let you know exactly what he wanted you to know, where you needed to know them. So, again, I really enjoy this, and I know I've said that like 100 times in this review, but it's one of those things where I can't stop saying that I love it. And that doesn't happen very often for books for me. So that tells you that I really enjoyed it. So I have to say, go pick it up, go read it. Again, 5 out of 5 stars. And if there's a favorite Brandon Sanderson book of yours, leave it in the comments down below. I'm just barely starting to explore this author, so I'm really excited to kind of jump in and find something else to read of his, like, soon, because I'm really excited. So have an awesome day. Bye.